Hi, this is Lecture 3 in Voice Leading Basics, and today I'm going to talk about how to actually voice chords for 4 parts. We're going to work with triads, and so of course there's 3 notes in a triad, and so what do you do with 4 voices? That's the question to start with, and I think let's start with just a G major triad. So that chord has 3 parts, a root, a third, and a fifth, G, B, and D. We're going to write our chords for the moment in what's called root position, which means that the bass will have the root. So I'm going to take the G, I'm going to give the bass that G. I'm going to use half notes for everything for the moment. I think to demonstrate the different types of voicing, the first thing to pick is going to be the soprano note. So I'm going to choose for the soprano a D. There it is. I can voice my chord now in 2 different ways. For standard voicings, there's obviously many different ways to voice them, but for standard voicing, I can voice it in what's called close or open voicing. And basically, close voicing means that my top 3 parts, soprano, alto, and tenor, are going to be as close together as they can be, still having 3 different notes. The bass is not part of that calculation. It has its own world. So in order for them to be as close as they can be, I'm going to start from my soprano note, and I'm going to walk down the staff until I come to the next note of the chord, which remember is G, B, D. So I come down D, C. Oh, B is the next one. So I'm going to give that note to the altos. So far, so good. Then I'm going to come down. What's the next note? B, A, G. I'm going to give that to the tenors. That's kind of high. So this is close voicing, where those top 3 parts are as close as they can be. Remember that this G is the same as that G. So this is close voicing. But it may not be the best voicing given that D in the soprano, because now the tenors are kind of high. So trying the same chord again, same bass note, same soprano note. This time I'm going to space it in what's called open spacing. In this case, I skip the first note I come to of the chord, and I actually go down to the next one and give that to with the next voice in line. So starting from the soprano, I come down from the D, C, B, skip the B that I gave to the alto before, keep going down A, G, and I gave the altos the G, and then I'll keep going down, and the next one I'd come to would be D, so I'll skip that, and I'll keep going down, and I'd get to B, which would be here below the staff, or in the bass staff, above the staff. And so there's what's called open voicing. Both of these do a couple of things. They give you the whole triad, the G, the B, and the D. But you notice because we have 4 voices and 3 different notes, something gets doubled. In each case, it's the root. So the G is in the bass and in the tenor here, and it's in the bass and in the alto here. So the root gets doubled, and then you also have the third and the fifth. It also gives you sort of even spacing. In close voicing, the notes in the top 3 parts are thirds apart. We'll see that they could also be fourths apart. Or here they're a fifth and a sixth apart. So they are, in close voicing, going to be thirds and fourths apart. In open voicing, they're going to be fifths and sixths apart, but they're more or less even either way. If I move my soprano note down, and I sort of move everybody from this close voicing, knock everybody down to the next note of the chord, you can see there's a close voicing, and that works better for everybody's ranges than the first one did. And you can see there's a third there and a fourth there, so that's fairly even. Or I could do this in open voicing. So instead the altos would get that D, and the tenors would get that G and share it with the basses. Or the basses could go down an octave and be down here. But you can see that now there's a sixth here and a fifth there, so this is also fairly even. So again, this is close, and this is open. Either way, we get all of our notes, we double the root. In major and minor triads, that's what we usually will double, as long as we're talking about root position. So that's the basics of how you write these chords in 4 parts with standard voicings. In the next lecture, we'll talk about the actual voice leading, when we actually start moving the voices as the harmonies change. See you in class.